Today we're going to be talking about, should you Evo swap your Mitsubishi Eclipse? Alright, so it was really sunny out, so I wanted to come out and shoot my first ever car vlog with you guys. We're currently in the red 2G Mitsubishi Eclipse, little 420A. Very common question I get, should I Evo swap my Mitsubishi Eclipse? Is it worth it? How much does it cost? What's the parts list? I've made a couple of videos about this throughout the years. I think in the last 2 years I made one where I show you how to Evo swap your Mitsubishi Eclipse all-wheel drive version video. So I kind of tell you the amount you're going to spend. I'm going to tell you the parts you need. So if you want to watch that, go watch that first. I wanted to talk about should you Evo swap your Eclipse 6 years basically later, right? So I've had the Evo swap for a very long time. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about how I feel about it. Is it worth it? Is it going to be worth it in the future? This swap is for a select group of people. I don't think this is for the general public because, one, this swap is intensively mechanically involved. You will have to do some welding, some custom fabrication, just sourcing a bunch of different parts from different cars. And if this is an issue for you, then I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think the Evo swap is worth it today, but I do believe that it will be worth it 10 to 20 years from now when the Eclipse GST and GSXs are really hard to find. Now in 2023, I'm starting to see a high increase in demand to the platform, especially the turbo models, and we're starting to see them die off very slowly. So I do see a lot less DSMs out in the street, or just in general, especially compared to 10 years ago when I got my Eclipse in 2012. And of course, the non-turbo models are the less sought after models, and I do believe that we will have a much higher number of these cars running around in the future, as there's a lot more, and they're pretty easy to maintain compared to the GSC and GSX. So once these cars are pretty much your only option, you can still source some sort of Evo parts to kind of make this build happen, and have either the ability or have the money to pay a shop to do this swap for you, is when it will be truly worth it. That's why I say it's only for select people. I don't think this is for everybody, and I only say that because this is not a swap that you're gonna do with your homies in your backyard in 2 days. Like, this took me and my friends a little over 2 years to get to the point to where it is now, and even till this day I still find myself changing things here and there that give out and stuff like that. So it's a never-ending project in all reality, and you should come into it knowing that when you buy a car, you kind of buy it for the long term, and you're going to stick to it no matter what happens, right? So if you start the Evo swap, you're going to quickly realize how much you're going to be. I feel like if you Evo swap the car, you will feel slightly overwhelmed unless you really know what you're doing. Now, I think I had a very unique situation because I think I was the first one to document the Evo swap on the Mitsubishi Eclipse. So doing that, I've realized that it's given me the opportunity to come out on Super Street. It's given me the opportunity to come out on the Smoking Tire, to come out on Top Gear. And I'm not saying this to brag to you guys. I just simply want to let you guys know that me doing this and me documenting everything has given me a lot of opportunities that I really wasn't expecting back then when I started the swap. The whole reason why I wanted to do the Evo swap was because everyone with the GST and GSX around me at the time was like would just talk crap, right? So I would be like, all right, like, how do I make this car better than everyone else's, right? And I don't know, man. I was naive. Would I do it today? Of course not. I don't know what I was thinking. But honestly, I got to give myself props, you know, back then when I did decide to do it, because I don't know, I guess I was just too naive to really understand the amount of work that it took to get that car to that point. But now that I look back, I don't see myself doing it anymore, right? Just based off my circumstance. So it does depend a lot on that. It does depend a lot on if the parts are still accessible and if they're still at a decent price. I do see parts for just Mitsubishis in general get discontinued, and I'm starting to realize that a lot of these parts are going to start going up in value as these cars start becoming a little rare and more of a classic car, right? So I do feel like as a generation, we're going to be taking over all the older guys with like the hot rods and old school cars, and we're going to be that next generation of car guys. And the 90s cars, I feel like, are going to be you know, what we're showing off. I do see a high influx in demand for the Japanese vehicles nowadays, and it's kind of cool because these are my favorite type of vehicles. I do prefer this over an exotic, right? So if I do end up with an exotic one day, the Mitsubishi Eclipse will always be my favorite car. I've been around that car since I was a child. My dad used to have a Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX when I was in elementary school, and I was always playing Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Underground 2, of course Fast and the Furious. Like, the car's always gonna have a special place in me, because it's a car I grew up with. So I do see myself, just if you love the car that much, I would say okay, maybe the Evo swap is just for you. If you're kind of more similar to me and see the Eclipse as the peak of automotive history, which we clearly know it's not. The build quality isn't perfect. You know, the car has its defects. It's known for being unreliable, right? But this is a car that's very special to a very select group of people, and I understand why, right? Because I have that same, I just think the same way as they do, right? And this goes for all our DSMers. Like, out of all the car people in the world, we're an even smaller niche of people that enjoy a very specific group of cars. And I feel like every cool car kind of has its own niche and its own group of people. I've always loved the DSM, and that's my platform, that's my car. So anyways, I did spend around $10,000 back in the day to Evo swap the car, and this is just for the front wheel drive version. And I had a job, so I was pretty much putting all my money into the car, because I didn't really have much of a social life. I was actually naturally introverted, and when I was in college, I would ride my bike, I would hang out with friends here and there, but I never really saw myself living the college experience per se, until pretty much afterwards. So I was pretty much spending all my days either buying parts, putting parts, hanging out with car friends, started going to car meets, started going to the Canyon Run, started doing, hanging out with the other DSMers, and I started slowly finding my select group of people that I like to hang out with, right? So that's kind of how I figured out the whole thing. Instagram had just came out back in 2012, so I remember, like, straight out of high school, I downloaded the app, I made an account, I named it Miguel_DSM to what it is today. And looking back, I would have never known how far this app would take me, because I documented my build since the beginning on social media. And it's kind of crazy because you don't really see it often, right? And sometimes it's cringe when you go on TikTok and you see a lot of these people that they're not real car enthusiasts, but they're kind of hopping on the trend. And I don't want to step on too many toes here. We could talk about that in another video, let me know. But when it comes to the actual enthusiasts that like to share their progress, especially with fellow DSMers, that's kind of where I found my niche and my passion to start doing YouTube, right? So I wouldn't Evo swap the car today, but I'm kind of glad that I did it back then, because it's taken me to a lot of places. It's given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people in the industry, and it's been able to let me connect with other car people. So it's something that I don't take for granted. I'm honestly very grateful for my friends as well, the ones that helped me, Lazy, Carlos, Josh, Danny, like the other Carlos. Like, there were so many people that were involved with the Evo swap itself, and I would not have been able to do it without them, seriously, because I've never swapped a car before in my life. It was a great learning experience, because luckily Lazy, he's the one that helped me with like 80% of the swap. He had gone to UTI, and he was always working on his DSM, and mechanically he was like a beast, like, at least to me, like, he was really, really good. So I appreciate him just because, like, every time I'd be like, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm down. And like one day it's like, hey, I'm going to Evo swap the car. And he's like, oh, hell yeah, like, let's do it. And he stuck around till the end, till that thing was all-wheel drive swap. And it was a pretty sick journey.
Okay, I see pressure. All right, ready?
She's alive!
I would only do it if the Mitsubishi Eclipse is that car for you. Like, you'll know when there's a specific car or platform that just, like, it calls your attention a little more than any other car ever made. And I feel like that's the only reason, because that's the only reason I did it, right? I mean, that, and besides wanting to prove all the GSC and GSX guys wrong. It's kind of funny to see how that all happened, but I would just do it just if you really like the Eclipse, if you see yourself wanting it forever. The only crap I get from people every once in a while is that they get mad because I call it a GSX when it's really a GS. Bro, like, who cares? It's all-wheel drive. If anything, I feel like it's better than a GSX, because it has a much more modern engine, and I feel like just modifying it wise, like, it's a lot easier to work on compared to the 4G63 on the DSM. So I've also always preferred the Evo 4G63 over the DSM one, just because it's a lot easier to work on. At least from my experience, it's very ABC. And the DSM 4G63, like, I've never liked this since I own the GST. It's just like all the vacuum lines everywhere, and it's just an old car. Everything starts ripping apart, and I don't know, it's just my preference personally. But if you just want to do this just because, like, you saw it on YouTube and you think it's cool, no, honestly, it's a headache. I don't like driving it just because I'm scared that someone's gonna hit it and then all that work goes to, crap. But besides that, it's honestly been a great car. It does break down from time to time, and that's just something that you have to live with. So if you have a little 420A, I would just recommend you keep it naturally aspirated. Even I've boosted a 420A. I don't think it was worth it. It was more of a hassle than it was something. It sounded cool, but that was about it, right? So I think that comes with maturity. I think when you're younger, you really don't care, as that happened to me with the Evo swap. Anyways, if you guys like these kind of videos, let me know, and also give me questions. Maybe I can make a video out of a question that one of you guys makes and go more into depth as far as like what I think about it, and we can kind of have a discussion. I do want to start implementing these videos as well, just to be able to start posting on YouTube a lot more consistently than just 2 videos a week, right? So it's very difficult. I'm trying to see how far I can push myself to post videos. So I'm gonna try to start posting a lot more consistently, basically. That was a BRC. But anyways, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.